Disclaimer: everything that is discussed, posted is strictly for educational and historical purposes only. It does not promote nor condone illegal activities. Bounty CH SYBIL for XW. My name is Sybil, meaning prophetess. I was born at Black River KNL, my sire being one of the best producers of all time. His name is CH Recoil Buckdoram POR and my dam FBT Kaisley, who is a great-granddaughter of GRCH Barracuda. I grew up on BRK's yard where I would now and then spar with my sister, brother, even GRCH Vodka, who I was with on the same yard. After showing some good potential, I was sent to the Great Bounty's yard where I went and furthered my art until I became a 4XW. I graduated, started my career, and it went like this. Bounty put weight out for 16.3 kilograms and a camp called PGK took the weight. To find out on the night that my good friend Rainman and I were hooked into the same dog. 8 days before show, rumor had it that the dog I was supposed to meet was sick. Rainman threw a hint to say we might be meeting on the same weight. Then Empire ended up setting the whole thing up, swapping opponents around. I ended up matching into the abattoirs where Parvy faced Bushman and Sybil facing Darcy. The males had to dance first before I could dance, and oh boy, little did I know nothing about performing in front of a big crowd. Bounty came to fetch me after Boseman, who is my half-brother. He won a very tough show that could have went either way. I was nervous of the big crowd, yet Bounty still took me into the box. If I had it my way, then I could run away that night. I swear I would. Anyways, we get in the box with Mr. B as my handler. Before I knew it, Darcy was all up in my face, head you name it. I was still trying to figure out what was happening with this big crowd, Darcy not giving me room to breathe. I heard my master saying my name, good Sybil, rah rah rah. Then I realized that we were at war with Darcy and her master. I tried to stay out of trouble, but oh my, Darcy was not allowing me to do just that. Baits were being called and I was looking bad with my tail between my legs. It was very embarrassing for my master, let alone our opposition had high hopes that they were going to smash Bounty, even better, a daughter of Recoil. I tried to up my game by defending, but Darcy was not having it as she had the upper hand, a good reach advantage. This frustrated me that a turn ended being called on my side. The spectators went even wild like a cheerleader. Sybil is going to cur tonight. A handle is made. We rushed to my corner to refresh and strategies. I decided it was about damn time. I can't let my fear for big crowds bring me down. After 30 seconds I pulled myself together and it was time to shine. I went straight into Darcy's throat like a jackhammer drilling on solid concrete and remembered, she was tall, that she took me off easy. I said to myself, not this time. You had the upper hand the last 17 to 19 minutes, you've had enough. Even Bounty was going wild that he managed to get the best out of me. I dove again deep under Darcy's chest and stayed there. I was doing a chest operation that one could hear bones crushing. It wasn't long then Darcy fell on the carpet and I was not going to waste any time, straight for the kill. Closing the windpipe of the mighty Darcy, I'm not sure if the seconds called for Scratch to continue. Thinking that I wasn't going to come out of my corner, but to my surprise it ended up being Darcy that had enough of my punishment and decided to call it a night, making me a 1XW in 33 minutes. I made my master proud that he gave me 3 full chickens to spoil me. Time went by and Bounty had one Hosea with my half-sister Killer, who was a 1XW, and my other half-sister Chant, who is currently a 4W1BS. Each OS had 3 dogs that they were willing to take my 2 sisters and I with. It went back and forth, negotiating weights. Killer ended up going on 15.5, Chant was hooked on 17 but came in 16.7 and her opponent 17.3. Then I was hooked on 15.7 kilograms. The night came, we had the convention with Killer going first and I second. I waited patiently for my turn, which was after 31 minutes, when Killer made 2XW. It was again a big crowd. WTF is wrong with Bounty, how can he do this to me again? Too many faces, though they were about 5 now on the opposite side. Some of the spectators that saw my first show figured this was going to be short and predicted the show to be over in 15 minutes. Dogs are released and I start out of the blocks. Yet on my first I never left my corner as I was nervous around big crowds. I go on attack and went for the throat, but unlike my first show, Layla doesn't allow me in there for long. I end up going to the head. When Layla went for my throat I got her off and wrestled her to the ground and appeared to be the stronger of the two. The show goes pound for pound, exchanging throat holds. I didn't have that much mouth. Yikes. I seem to have left my mouth at the gym and Lilith seems to draw more blood than me, so it's all good. Then a few minutes later Lilith stifles thighs seem to be cramping up, but she is not allowing that to bother her. After the 30-minute mark, the pace has died down and we were both fighting in flurries. This time Lilith starts mounting a comeback and appears that she might be tipping things in their favor but doesn't have much conditioning left in her. I started going in for the kill and applied more pressure and Layla starts singing to the heavens. Her handler goes to his corner and comes back to concede, making me a 2xW in 48 minutes. The handler wanted to take her out of the pit without a courtesy scratch and the owner of CH Badger for XW insisted they scratch her as Badger is her grandsire. Layla ends up completing a game scratch. Killer ended up taking BIS, Chant won in short order 18 minutes. Not wasting any time I got hooked again with my half-sister into winners up in the eastern part of the country, where we traveled 800 kilometers for our championship shows. This was like I must pick up K27's blood as he had lost badly with two of my half-sisters. Champ Emma and 2XW Lucy. The day to travel came. We traveled with 2XW Wreck-It Buck, who was going for his championship title into 1XW. We finally got to the east side. Well rested thanks to YMCBK who made sure that we were comfortable as possible. Even went the extra mile to make my master and his friends a barbecue. At about 6 p.m. Killer and I went to go empty for the last time. Oh yes, 40 came to witness this as well. We finally got to the venue with Wreck-It Buck going first, which he came out a champion. I was next in line going against guys that had traveled from the Gold City with their 1XW and Killer my sister was last on the list. I had to impress as I was going second. I was going against Coco, who had won in short order and thought I was her next victim. Little did she know, I was becoming a champion that night. I was mentally, physically and emotionally ready for this dance. Master Bounty made sure that there was no room for error from the diet to training. Before releasing there was some tension with G going on about forfeit because Bounty had told him it was a 2-card not 3-card. Anyways, that's a story for another day. We got washed and straight to the box. I took a good look at Coco and looked at Bounty then said to myself, today I will be a champion and nothing is going to stand in my way. On release I ran straight into Coco's chest working it deep, trying to finish the job quickly. Little did I know that Coco had won her first show by punishing her victim on the muzzle, so me being on her chest made her go on my muzzle. She thought I was going to let go of her easily as she was trying to grind my face, thinking she was going to give me a face job. I had to show everyone that I was a 2XW and about to take the championship, so I swapped holds from chest. I went deep to the back and stifles, where I hid my face while taking a good chunk of those stifles thighs, making Coco scream, moan and groan in pain. Somehow she managed to maneuver herself out of that position and was angry. She came back, dished out good punishment on my shoulders, but this was nothing to me because Layla had tried this before. I went into defense mode. I was like Michael Jackson moonwalking, dancing my way to the back, easy peasy lemon squeezed. Riding that head, controlling it like a pilot. This made hopeless Coco push more and more until she started to fade slowly. Her back legs started to wobble like a tire that has a big puncture. This was at around 25-minute mark. The handler went to Hosea corner to consult with his partner, but it was too late because when he turned back I was busy killing poor Coco deep in the throat. Bounty busy screaming rah 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 rah, and we all know when he says that it means finish her. Coco struggling to breath as I've blocked her throat, causing her to suffocate. I could feel her soul leaving her body slowly, but her handler was too quick to concede. So she was saved by the bell at 31 minute, making me a 3XW, a champion, leaving Killer to settle her score with G, which she conquered and made champion in 44 minutes. For number 4, I was again supposed to go alongside Champ Killer, but luck was not on our side. We were contracted into Dreadful, our ex-partner. This was like a grudge match, where the score was supposed to be settled. This was after some funny comments went viral soon after for XW Mao 1XG or CH XW Mason, so Bounty went and contracted us into that camp. I was supposed to go on 16 kilograms and Killer on 15.7, but this didn't go as planned. Mr. B had some personal problems in his keep, and this was when lockdown started and we hardly trained, which cost me to pay forfeit on the night as I came in on 16.3. Thinking quickly on his feet, Bounty ended up putting Killer, who was also over for her show. She was 15.9 kilograms and ended up facing my opponent, whose name remains unknown. All I know is she was a daughter of ex-GR Mason. I ended up being contacted into Rebel, who had confidence that he would stop me from becoming a 4XW. The contract was for a two-card show. Lake, who is my half-sister, a recoil buck offspring. She was to go on 16.5 and I on 16 kilograms. The day came and Rebel came with dreadful of CDC, who again ran his mouth after my half-sister, Killer, won him. This was a big issue where Bounty was not going into and K27 didn't want these guys at his venue after an incident that had happened. I felt like whenever I was supposed to show, these guys were always the reason for me not going. Some spectators were filling Rebel's head with shit, saying I was over and that's why the show wasn't on yet. It was plain and simple, the Nightmare didn't want these guys at his shows. Arguments back and forth, until Bounty decided he was going to go ahead with the show. Mind you, this was after D from CDC apologized to Mr. B and K27. An agreement was made and finally the show started and I was going in first and Lake second. Baits were being called before I even entered the arena, with the opposition full of confidence and hyped by 4 different camps. It was Rebel, CGK, BK and CDC, who both came to try and stop me from becoming a 4XW. LOL. How good must one be to have 4 different camps ganging up to try and stop you? We finally got into the 4 corners. I looked onto the opposite side. I saw this tall big dog. I was like, WTF, I'm a me compared to her height. She looked mean and meant business, but to my surprise her name was Xena, a warrior princess. This made me nervous, but to my assurance, Bounty whispered in my ear, kill her for me, and before I knew it, the ref has already requested for us to be released. I ran straight onto Xena's head. I had to capitalize and neutralize her tall ass before she could use her reach advantage against me, forcing her to work twice as hard to touch my silky smooth skin, which she was struggling to. I was too fast for her. All her attempts to get on my shoulders, I would hide my legs, tuck them to the back while pushing her head down. That every bite she attempted to get was straight to the carpet. Full Throttle was in my corner and never did I know this guy can talk a lot of crap. The man was passing rude and bad comments to the 4 camps against us. He was saying, how can such a tall dog fail to out-wrestle such a small dog? Who made her keep and selected her to beat us? Apparently this bitch Xena was the real deal. I wonder where, as she looked like a rookie, into me, or was I just too smart for her dumbass? She tried to go pound for pound with that plastic mouth of hers and I beat her to it, punishing her like my name was the Punisher. This was brutal. I mean, I felt like I was in combat with a puppy. This was the worst I ever faced. It felt like taking candy from a baby, who ran hot in 10 minutes, but I guess that's none of my business. This was so embarrassing that CGK started saying wait until you see the next one, meaning that my sister Lake's opponent was the real deal, but Lake beat her as well. These guys had already given up on poor little Xena and she was no match for me. I felt like I could take on 3 of the same dogs on that same night. Even on my worst day this dog was never going to win me. I remember hearing K27 telling Buttons that they had picked the wrong fight. Soon after that I had to put this child's play to rest by closing that poor Xena's throat. I was going to kill a dog that was no match for me. So the handler had to concede, making me a 4XW with not a sweat on my hair, and I quote, winners watch winning, while losers watch winners. I heard someone was crying after that show from the other corner, don't send kids to do a man's job. I was supposed to go for grand championship, but then I picked up 2 forfeits. No takers for about 6 months. Talkers would talk on social media platforms like Gossip Girls. Keyboard warriors never have the balls to face me, yet talk big on Instagram and yet not mature enough to call me out. Their steps are too slow to take a dance with me. After about 7 months of not getting any weight, I was sent up to go breed to recoil buck my sire. Soon after I left the mother city there were about 3 females on 16 kilograms open and up country. Those who ran their mouths more than their dogs were back at it. Knowing I was bred, like they say, when the cat is away the mice come out to play, Bounty made me who I am today. I will say this again, there is dogmen and there's men that have dogs. It is not the same thing. Well, there you have it folks, the story of Bounty's champion Sybil for XW.